Hello, YouTubers. It's me and Bruce. Bruce hasn't been in a video for a little while, but he figured this one's about Russia, so we're going to have Bruce in this video. We have a few words to talk about today. The first two are Ivans. Ivan the Great, who's also Ivan the Third, and Ivan the Terrible, who's also known as Ivan the Fourth. Then we're going to look at two words that have to do with those guys, Boyars and Cossacks, which are not any Russian people in... Uh-oh, Bruce is going Mongol on me. Bruce, look at that. Can you say... Can you say hi? Can you show your belly? Where's your belly? Where's your belly? Where's your belly? My goodness, there it is! We found your belly! Oh my goodness! Alright, first, Ivan the Great, Ivan the Third. Why was he so great? You can remember he's great because the Russians had been controlled and dominated and invaded by the Mongols, and Ivan the Great was the Tsar, T-S-A-R, or C-Z-A-R, depending on who you're talking to or where you're reading it. Ivan the Great was so great because he was able to get rid of the Mongols, or at least lead the charge against the Mongols, who were despised by the Russians. So that's why he was so wonderful. So what? The big deal is this ushered in a new era in Russian history where instead of being controlled by outsiders, there was one central government figure, and this was the Tsar, who hearkened back to the power of Caesar in the Roman Empire. Then, a couple generations beyond him was Ivan the Fourth, Ivan the Terrible. Now, Ivan the Terrible is so terrible, you can think of it because of the people he killed. First of all, he killed Russian nobles, or had them executed or sent to Siberia because he was kind of worried about them taking power from him. He wanted to underline the power of the Tsar. He was also pretty terrible because he killed his own son, who was his heir to the throne. And this son was the one who was supposed to take over after he was dead. So after his death ushered in a time of trouble. That's literally what they called it, time of trouble. We now have a difficult time trusting the Tsar. The leadership in the country is in peril. And so that's one of the reasons that the Romanovs, or the Romanovs, came to power. So he was the last of the Tsars, of the Ivan Tsars, post-Mongol time period. So the other two words we're going to look at is Boyars, B-O-Y-A-R-S, who were Russian nobles. That's a pretty basic definition of the Boyars. And then also, so what? What was the big deal with the Russian nobles? Well, Russian nobles needed to be pleased by the Tsar, or else they got upset. And so it was a fine balance that Tsars had to take when dealing with Russian nobles. They needed to assert their influence and power over them, so these nobles were often given land. They were given serfs for that land, so the people who worked and lived on that land were subject to the whims of the lords, and in return they gave loyalty to the Tsar. So these were the boyars, the Russian nobles. The other types of Russians we're going to look at are the Cossacks, and the Cossacks, besides being my middle school mascot in Alaska, Kenai, Alaska. Yeah. You're like a Cossack, Bruce. I could imagine you storming across the Russian countryside. So, come here. Oh, gotcha. Oh, there you are. So Cossacks were Russian frontiersmen, and the big deal, what's the so what behind the Russian frontiersmen, is that they were the ones who settled and claimed land and secured the eastern boundaries of the Russian Empire for Russia. So that's who the Cossacks were and what they did. So those are your four words. That's the only ones we're looking at today. So we kept this under 5 minutes. We got to look at Bruce. Life is pretty good. All right. Don't forget to be awesome.